Hey there, are you worried about making a mistake during the negotiations of your job offer? That's today's topic. Welcome to Ask the Resume Lady, Engineering Edition, your channel for career advice on resumes, interviews, negotiations, and more. Hi, I'm Diane Karszosowski, and I'm an engineering professional. I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt, and I'm a certified PMP. I have over 20 years experience in industry, and during that time I enjoyed mentoring people and helping them to build their confidence and to grow in their career by sharing my advice with them. And I'm super excited to be sharing my advice with you here today. All right, does this sound like content you'd like to see on a regular basis? Well, that's great. Please subscribe to my channel and click that bell icon so that you get notified each time that I post a new video. All right, let's get to today's topic. In today's video, I want to talk about the biggest mistake you can make during salary negotiations. Want to know what it is? Not negotiating at all. That's the biggest mistake, and tons of people do this. They leave money on the table because they just accept the offer that's given first time through. Why would you want to negotiate? What are the benefits to that? Well, you can show off your negotiation skill. Negotiations are just a regular part of business and even for engineers. So think about this. Sometimes with your boss, you negotiate due dates for projects. Okay, there's negotiations. You may negotiate with other departments on using conference rooms. You could sit with suppliers and negotiate with them, even if you're not the purchasing person. And I have a funny story here. A lot of times, at least where I was working, the engineers thought, you know what, I didn't have to worry about money, that's the purchasing person's job. And we were sitting in a meeting, we had the supplier, we had the purchasing agent, we had an engineer. And the talks are going great, and all of a sudden the engineer makes a statement to the supplier and he says, you know what, this is great, you guys are the only ones that do this and we really, really need it. All of a sudden, the purchasing agent was just like, oh my God, how do I backpedal? How do I change this? Because inadvertently, the engineer just told the supplier that you're the only one that does this when they're not technically the only one that do this in the whole world. But by doing that, the supplier thinks, haha, I can charge more because they think I'm the only place they can go to. So in negotiations, even engineers in their normal day-to-day activity are negotiating whether or not they know it. So learning how to negotiate, going back to the point of why should you negotiate, it's good to sharpen up your negotiation skills and show them off during salary negotiations. I also mentioned earlier, you don't want to leave money on the table. And what I mean by that is if they offer you $75,000 for the position, they may actually have a budgeted amount to go up to $80,000. But if you don't start negotiations and work back and forth, you may never get your salary up to that $80,000, and you will have left that $5,000 on the table. You never know what they have available, so it's always good to try. You may find out that you start negotiations and yes, they say, sorry, that's it. This is the offer, it's firm. Okay, no harm, no foul. You asked, you tried. But if you don't try at all, you definitely don't receive. All right. I also, when I was growing up, I got some advice that said, always negotiate. Because you can negotiate more money in 30 minutes than you could ever make in 3 years worth of raises. And I thought about that and I'm like, wow, that's true. Yeah, if I could go up an extra $5,000, that might be more than what I make in 3 years in raises. So it's definitely worth negotiating. So what to do? How do you start? What's the next step? So one of my previous videos I talked about know your three. So you have, before you even get started, you need to know what you're looking for. So have those ready. What else? you can do, if they're not willing to move or to adjust the salary at all, there are other things that you can negotiate. What are those, you ask? Think about tolls. Maybe you could ask them to pick up some of your tolls because you're in a metro area that has tons of toll roads. Maybe because there's an excessive amount of travel, you would like some extra time off. Okay, there, you could bring that up. Maybe an extra bonus, maybe a company car, depending on your position, cell phone bill, or very specific. If you have specific training that you want to get, you could put that into your initial offer to make sure that you do get that training. And also your organizational dues. Professional organizations, they usually have like yearly dues and whatnot. You can ask during your negotiations for them to pick that up. So there's so many things that you could negotiate. Oh, another one, I forgot about this one too, is something I did at a previous job, is assigned parking. At this particular company, they had assigned parking, non-assigned parking, and it was for everyone. The only way you could get the assigned parking, though, was to donate to the charity that the company supported. So when I did my negotiations, I asked that they pay for my assigned parking, or basically my donation to the charity. So there's so many things that you can do that are non-salary related. But think about it, all this would be not available if you don't negotiate at all. So there's two ways that you can negotiate. There's in-person negotiation, and then there's more written, like a counter-offer letter. If you're not totally comfortable with doing in-person negotiations and you need a little more time to think about it and craft up your words and whatnot, you probably are going to lean more towards a counter-offer letter, which is totally fine, perfectly understandable. But here's the thing. Before you go in, some places, they want to do the in-person negotiations because it's moving pretty fast. I've heard, there was one instance where I knew a lady who went into an interview. It was the third round of interviews, and at the end they said, okay, here's the offer we'd like to extend to you. Here it is. She looked it over. She's like, well, I'd like to take a little time to think about it. And they said, well, actually, the offer expires as soon as you leave the door. So we need you to make your decision now. So if that's the case, you might want to be a little prepared on what you're looking for in case negotiations happen that fast. Even if you're not the most comfortable in personal or one-on-one negotiations, it may come to you even if you're not ready for it. So before you go into interviews, you should already start thinking kind of what you're looking for when it comes to salary negotiations and what numbers and your strategy of what you would come back with. So definitely negotiate, or at least hold off on accepting for a couple days to think it over. Also, it's not always about salary when it comes to negotiations. Consider some other things that you would be open to negotiating. And start practicing or getting your counteroffer letter ready so that should it come up in any kind of interviews, you're ready to go. All right, that's my advice for you today. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Drop me a note in the comment section below. Would love to hear from you. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video and found it valuable. And until next time, think confident, act confident, be confident.